to our show. Welcome to our show. It's a good show. Big, big shoe. It's really huge.
Hi, I'm Kevin Walter, and you're listening to Talkin Troma with Zack Bynes. Howdy, howdy. Troma.
Big, big shoe. It's really huge. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Tromaville, and welcome to episode 22 of Talkin Troma with your host, me, Zack Bynes. The show where me and a special guest find love from Ukrainian prostitutes by watching a Troma movie and paired with a non-Troma title for a fantasy double feature. But first, let me introduce my special guest. He is a filmmaker, the unofficial meme maker of Tromaville, and all-around funny dude. Let me introduce to you, Kevin Walter.
Oh, Heidi Ho, Zack, and greetings, not from Tromaville, but from Frez, yes.
All the way from the Frez, yes, California. Through the glory of the interwebs, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Oh, thank you for having me. Big fan of the show and everything Tromaville.
So I've been wanting to have you on for a while, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but I wanted to wait until people were actually able to watch your movie. So I'm glad that the general public can. But first, though, Kevin, I want to know, what was your introduction into Troma movies?
So a lot like you and our buddies, you know, I born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, and I was able to kind of rent Troma movies via my parents letting me get R-rated movies from the video stores. But really, I kind of came about more with Troma the older I got, going from high school into my college years, when I would revisit all these amazing trash films, John Waters, and all the Lloyd Kaufman movies. So I would say it started as a child, but it's grown more as an adult.
Do you remember what your first Troma movie was?
Oh, my first Troma movie was Toxic 2, just like my buddy Liam.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It's always, you can always tell, like, the Toxic Avenger 2 fans, like, something with that movie just sticks to us.
Yeah, because you know, I debate back and forth with others and myself, like, what is my list? You know, because sometimes Citizen Toxie is my favorite. You know, sometimes the first one is my favorite. But there's something about Toxie 2 with him going to Japan, and then also all the random cameos from people who grow on to become like big stars, like Michael Jai White and others. Yeah, just something about Toxie 2 that always been my favorite, personally.
I like really love the fight scene, like, at the beginning of that movie. It just sets the whole tone, because, like, you have, like, the dudes with their heads that are exploding, and then they start doing the moonwalk with, like, but they're all decapitated, and then he crushes a midget into a basketball. Like, I just love that.
Yeah, that's all the, you know, it's definitely like the Lloyd Kaufman slapstick, you know, stuff that we like, you know, the yin and the yang. It's, you know, it's a action, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's some kind of, you know, comedy mixed in with all of it.
So I mentioned this in your introduction, that I like to refer to you as the unofficial meme maker of Tromaville. Chances are, if you follow Lloyd or Troma, they have seen multiple memes that you've made, and they're probably some of the funnier ones out there. What like kind of got you even just wanting to, you know, reference obscure movie studio stuff like into the popular meme culture, because I definitely see him like flying around out there, even from outside of Tromaville. Like they gather some steam, which always makes me laugh.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's what I love about the internet and creating that stuff is just putting it out there. But yeah, so I want to say around 2016-ish is when I really started to reach out to Tromaville. I think around then Troma Now was kind of new at the time. You had John Brennan and the Justin Martells and all those guys in the office, in and out. And so I saw Lloyd's Twitter, and I was like, is this really this fucker? It had Trey Parker's quote about no one knows how to make a movie and not make any money at it better than Lloyd Kaufman. And so I was like, are you really Lloyd Kaufman? And he's all, yes. And I'm like, really? Yes. And then from there, I just kind of fucking went nuts, just wanted to, like, around that time, make people go, wee! And so I was making memes that were, like, Troma mixed with whatever was kind of going on at the time on the internet. And then so that kept kind of like snowballing, and then my inspiration kind of comes from I kind of consider myself like a Harvey Pekar-ish, because I have a normal low level paying government day job, and so I was kind of where I was in life. I was kind of bored, not doing nothing, kind of had not really done nothing, and so the make your own damn movie and all that stuff really inspired me. And so kind of going into 2018-ish, they had the Return to Nukem High Volume 2 premiere in Beverly Hills. And that's when I first met Lloyd, and it was like Troma reunion of generations. You had the cast of Return to Nukem High Volume 2. You had basically a lot of people from Citizen Toxie. That's where I met Trent. It's where I met Caleb, and all these guys were just really like a family atmosphere, and I just went fucking fanboy crazy. I gave the camera to Tim Mel Lizzy. I was like, take pictures of me. I ran around like a fucking idiot, but it was great. And I really learned from that experience that Lloyd's kind of number one thing says is the most important thing you can give someone is time. And everyone was so accessible and nice, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing, still to this day, and I had no script, no idea, never filmed or done nothing in my life, but I just had the make your own damn movie passion to want to make this ultimate crazy trash movie that had Troma people and whatnot. It basically, Tower Rats is kind of like my film school, for myself personally. So, at any rate, the seeds of wanting to make a exercise in stupidity were kind of planted around 2016, watching Troma Now and being inspired by the content on there and things that I was, into, like the John Waters and all that crap. I was like, I can create this. I can make my own damn movie.
Mexicans. And swamp ass. Swamp ass is all over Olive Street. Like all dirty Jews, I'm gonna get money.
So tell me a little bit about Tower. Tell the audience who might not know what Tower Rats is. How do you pitch that movie? The elevator pitch, like what? How do you describe that to somebody?
Tower Rats is like if you had a buddy who loved Troma films give you a fucked up mixtape that has all these sketches and skits of ludicrous, grotesque behavior that should never see the light of day and probably shouldn't make it to Troma's Edge TV. But it features Trent Haga, Lloyd Kaufman, Dolphin Man, Kabuki Man, Mercedes the Muse, and a pretty bitchin' soundtrack with music from Dylan Mars Greenberg, John Brennan, a slew of punk bands, the Supermen, TV Static, the Go-Go Killers, Tough Actin' Tenactins, and original music from Noise on Port. Really great friend and very talented musician. Check out Sinkhole Kids at his SoundCloud. Basically, it's a big love letter to Lloyd Kaufman and the make your own damn movie way, because I was heavily influenced, obviously, by Troma and Cat Tranquilizer and trying to be like John Waters and feature the Tower District like he features Baltimore. And I apologize to the world that it exists. Basically, this is what came out of me. If you want to blame someone for Dominic Schmidt in the film, blame Bajarni, because he's who helped me cast him. I was having trouble finding a divine for the film. And he's like, oh, you gotta check out this guy that rubs shit on himself. So within minutes, I was on the phone with Dominic, who's actually a very sweet, genuine guy, and actually has quite the social media presence, and has a lot of famous YouTubers doing videos on him. I also got to give a big shout out and thank Chizou Lindstrom for gracing the screen of my film with Carlotta Moore. He's an amazing, talented filmmaker from Finland. I totally recommend everything he's ever made, and Carlotta Moore's Con trilogy, The Contract, The Consequence, and The Congregation. Basically, this trash film would not exist without the amazing help and love from Chizou Lindstrom, the screen presence of Carlotta Moore. And so from the bottom of my black little heart, I want to thank you for making my trash cinema dreams come true.
Yeah, I really like it. I like to describe Tower Rats like if John Waters and Giuseppe Andrews had a baby in Tromaville. Like that's what your movie feels like to me. And it's disgusting and surreal, and it's like video art, and there's a lot of just like really fun humor in there that not everybody's gonna love. But the people who get it, like, definitely get it. And I think it's really funny. And if you're a fan of John Waters, or Giuseppe Andrews, like, it's definitely a movie that you need to see.
Oh, thank you. That's the best promo I could never pay for. It's people like I've actually watched it and whatnot.
You have a lot of fun cameos in the movie. Can you tell me about those and how you got them?
I could probably rant all day about everyone I want to name off here and give a shout out to, because basically this Tower turd, wouldn't be physically, in existence if not for all the people that basically, helped and created this thing.
First, I'll start with the fabulous Chizou from Finland. The fabulous Carlotta Moore. All of that was totally him, filmed by his Twisted Films family. I feel so bad having to read off everyone's name here because I would just butcher them without mercy. And basically, this film could not be made without Carlotta Moore and Chizou. The guy's a super talented director. Check out Night Satan. Probably my favorite part of the film is what they created with the cat puppet puking, and also the baker's dozen of the kitty litter poo that they put in the oven. My only regret in life is that I couldn't taste that for real. The beginning of the film was made by Adam Peltier and Connor Linneruth, two very super talented guys. I know they're going to blow up big one day. Look out for them. But they created the Eggman, and Adam Peltier and Connor. I found out about them because they had this little short thing called Last Week's Weather, and I loved everything about it. I reached out to them, and this is what they created for me, and God bless them. Also, they have a new short out there that's winning awards at festivals called Space Junk. Like I said, super talented guys that love Troma. Look out for them. The Lloyd Kaufman stuff was all shot on green screen by John Brennan and Dylan at the Troma office. I remember telling John, I need Lloyd in front of a wall or something like that. And that's what they sent me. And I kept it exactly as it is because it's fucking hilarious. Doug Sackman as Kabuki Man. Him and John as Dolphin Man also shot that stuff for me. Like I said, this was around the time when they were working in the Troma office there. And God, I just really lucked out and so blessed to have him in it. Tyler Gallant, who played the soap opera hunk, who's a very talented and up-and-coming actor, who I met because of a local connection with a horror director, Michael S. Rodriguez. So at any rate, I really filmed that at an Airbnb, full 10-minute Lizzie and I stayed at the night before the Return to Nukem High screening. And apparently it was supposed to be haunted by Hollywood elite. The Naked Couple in the Woods was filmed by LaDonna Allison and Bill Pacer, who I got to know because of a connection from the Nobodies by Jay Burleson. And then that's also how I met up and got to know Bart Hyatt and Jason Odie, who filmed all the trailer park, the Dick and Lala, and the news reporter scenes, the Eye on the Tower. All of that was kind of loosely written by us and improv, filmed by Bart's wife, Jackie, which was chopped up, spliced, edited together in a very William S. Burroughs Naked Lunch Troma style. Speaking of Troma style, the lovely Mercedes the Muse and Moses, all their stuff was filmed by them. The alleyway scene was kind of loosely written by me, but the sheer talent of this gruesome twosome just shines through their scene, and that's why I totally consider myself a hack, and don't deserve the title director. Another scene that is near and dear to my heart is the pool pot pie, chicken pot pie scene from the fellows who made Yeti, A Gay Love Story. It was based off a restaurant staple in the Tower District, the chicken pot pie shop that actually closed down, and the Tower District hasn't recovered from it. All the really cool gore and zombie footage comes from Craig J. McIntyre's short film, The Nutcase, L.A. Maniac. So apologies if I forgive you in this obscure, stupid rant about everyone that's been in my film. From the bottom of my black little heart, I thank you, Dwayne Mendez, Steeler, the Whiplash Maniac, Double Dementia, Wigwolf / Bunula TV, Jeremy Madlock, Clarence Diamond, Josephat Concepcion, Mighty Dean, Toxie76, Greg DeLisio, and also once again, Yakov Levi and Jeffrey Scott McCullough, because it is actually his painting who Picasso, the penis painter, is drawing.
Well, and that's another cool thing about the movie is that you didn't make excuses for not having all the stars align. You're like, oh, if only all my cast was in the same area, or if only I had this. Like you have John Brennan in New York film something with Sergeant Kabuki Man, and then you had Mercedes the Muse film something in San Francisco, and you had Liam Regan film something from the UK. Like you have filmmakers from all over the world contributing to, you know, your grand idea of Tower Rats, which I love the title, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, what a scam artist I am. Yeah, and Tower Rats, by the way, yeah, like I said, I wanted to rip off pink flamingos, so I'm like, well, that's an animal. I got to have an animal name in this of some sort. But Tower Rats means a little something to Frez Yes here, because the Tower District is actually kind of like our little Castro, San Francisco artsy LGBTQ area. And when I was growing up, the Tower Rats were actually like gutter punk homeless youth that, the ones that really had the dirt in their nails that lived down there. And so originally my idea was kind of to, make something like that. But kind of like you said earlier, and I agree with, I was just like, make your own damn movie. I'll figure it out. We'll go through, we'll bust through, make something.
No, but I love that. Like you gave some people like some sort of outline to go with, or you just let them run free, and you made it all work together really well, where it wasn't until talking to you that you told me like you gave very little direction, which says a lot for how you got it to work in the editing.
Yeah, I feel like Krusty Clown, Krusty the Clown. Like, what was I on? But yeah, or I should say Lloyd Kaufman, who always says he's high on cat tranquilizer. But yeah, basically from about 2015, 2016 till about now, I was in a sense randomly editing the thing and creating it with all these people. And
well, I think I think it should be noted also that like Trent Hage's in the movie, and he's like not just like a small walk on role, like he is kind of a reoccurring character throughout the whole film.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Trent Hage. He not as only is he a really sweet, nice person and loves us Troma fans, but he's everything I want to be, like an actual professional and stuff. And yeah, I met him when I went to the Newcomb High show, and because of my fortunate friendship with Peter Litvin, Hectic Knife, I was able to, have them film together and, create. Oh yeah, funny quick side story, I guess. In Tower Rats, yeah, he calls me Kevin Walker's, which is actually, it might have been an indirect thing I did, because when I wrote a scene for him, and I accidentally misspelled his name, and I didn't mean to do that, but when they filmed it, they were making fun of me about it, and I think it's like absolutely hilarious, because that's just something you can't predict or make, maybe sometimes.
Kevin Walker's Tower Rat.
Yeah.
It's on Troma now, so I highly recommend people like go seek it out if you have that. And I bought like a really cool DVD from you. Like the artwork that you did on it is awesome. It's a really cool poster, so people should pick it up. And you also told me that you wanted to talk about this, that you inadvertently broke the first rule of Lloyd's production while making Tower Rats, and it wasn't when Dominic puts a knife in his butt.
Yeah, I should have first said that I didn't write anything for Dominic. No, but yes, thank you for bringing that up. Good point. So when I'm dancing around the Tower District in my scene, I spin around a light pole, and if you listen, you can hear the popping of my foot, and I fractured a bone in my foot 2 weeks before Tin Metal Lizzie and I were supposed to go to Vegas. I still went to Vegas on a walking boot, high on cat tranquilizer, and but yeah, I joke and always say, do you break the first rule of Troma production if it's you, the director, doing it?
I mean, it sounds like kind of a freak accident, but you still carry on the scene. Like when I was rewatching Tower Rats for this, like, and you told me where it happens, like I keep watching and you can see the little bit of oh shit on your face. And then you go up and you harass all the people in the market with your Sex Piss t-shirt on. And like unless like it's like you carried on the scene all the way through. What happened when you yelled cut after that? Did you like oh, I need to go to the doctor right now?
It must have been all the adrenaline or cat tranquilizer in me, but but honestly, we went and filmed a little more, and not until I got home later in that night, I was like icing my foot, but really not until the next day when I saw it like balloon up all purple was I kind of like, oh shit.
That's awesome. And there's also you have a producer and he's in the movie, which will kind of lead into our main topic, but you have Yakov Levi producing Tower Rats, and he's in it as well. Talk about that a little bit.
Yakov, do you say Levy or Levi?
I say Yakov Levi because I was watching the introduction that he does with Lloyd, and Lloyd says Yakov Levi right next to him and doesn't get corrected. So.
Yeah, because is it Troma or Tromato kind of thing? But
yeah,
but yeah, Yakov is really cool. I met him via the internet, kind of like mostly everyone, but yeah, I discovered his films kind of basically, I'm sure you could imagine my search bar is Troma and John Waters.
Yeah.
So if that mixes together, you're going to find out about Yakov Levi, the John Waters of the Ukraine on his old website.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, basically I searched him out. Really personal guy. We became friends, and I watched his films, and kind of like with a lot of people on the film, since I had no script or had no idea what I was doing, I'd be like, hey, you got some old stuff you can send me. And sure enough, Yakov, a lot of the, I don't know if you remember some of the news reporter footage. There's the world with the arms and the army men. It's kind of like stop motion stuff. Really old film he made that he gave me, but mainly because Yakov's such a good friend. I was like, you're an executive producer, damn it.
Awesome. Well, I think on that we should dive into Shameless, Tasteless, and the Films of Yakov Levi. So you met Yakov via the internet, but I have a clip I want to play real quick of Lloyd talking about on how he found Yakov.
I was in Slovenia. Slovenia is a small country. I was invited there, and there were these crazy Croatian boys who were making their own damn movie, and they gave me a small part in that movie. And they kept talking all day while we were shooting this film in Slovenia. They kept talking about Yakov Levi. You got to see these movies. You got to see Yakov Levi. So 2 o'clock in the morning, I am dragged to an outdoor, like a drive-in movie. It was like a drive-in.
I wish I was there.
And here are these unbelievably great films.
Well, and so my first introduction to Yakov was my film, The Misled Romance of Cannibal Girl and Incest Boy, was playing at the Troma Dance Film Festival in Park City, and that was basically like if my version, my thoughts of if John Waters and Troma made a movie together. So to see that there was another John Waters-esque filmmaker playing the same night as my movie, I was definitely intrigued, especially because he's billed as the John Waters from the Ukraine. And I say let's dedicate this episode to all those fine folks in the Ukraine and Baba Allah, their patron saint of the Ukraine.
Yeah, the divine of the Ukraine.
Exactly. But yeah, like I saw it, and his movies are so fucking dirty, just like a John Waters film. And like I just loved his aesthetic and his casting, because his casting doesn't feel like actors. They feel like people he just pulled from the streets, and like it just was so awesome. So me and Richard, we reached out to him on the MySpace back in the day, and we wanted to use a clip of Shameless for this short film we were making called Jack to the Max, which is our talking penis movie. And we wanted the young gentleman to be watching Shameless on TV as he's given the old rub and tug to his talking penis. And then eventually that movie ended up on the Troma release of Shameless, Tasteless. And I think we said it was like a documentary about Yakov Levi, but really we just put that subtitle on so they would put it on the DVD. But yeah, if you have that DVD, check it out, because it's I think it's pretty funny. I play Justin Wilson, that Cajun cook on PBS, who's like, I guarantee this is the best meal you ever have. I play him, but with a lot of cum on his face. So, and Yakov also he does comic books. You have some of his comics as well.
Yeah, so when I first got to know Yakov and got to know him a little more besides his films, at the time he was kind of, at the cusp, barely starting his horror comics.
Yeah.
Which basically, Baba is kind of like the
Crypt Keeper.
Yes, yeah. And
the title's funny too of the comics. It's Tales from the Horror House of Horror.
Oh yeah, he is. You could rag on maybe the low budget or the lowbrow stuff, but Yakov is a genius with comedic timing. And really, really good writer. Yeah.
Yeah, he can spin a pun with the best of them.
Yeah, he's fun with the puns. Yeah.
Well, so when I was talking to you about getting you on the show, I had, I asked you what would you want to talk about movie wise, and the first thing you said was Yakov Levi. Like, what made you, out of Troma's whole library, what made you want to pick Yakov Levi?
Well, I think maybe because kind of what we've been chatting about, my John Waters obsession and, Yakov being kind of billed as the low budget Troma, Ukraine, Eastern European, whatever you want to slap on him, John Waters, and being a good friend to him. And basically he, has helped me a ton with my tower turd and everything. I think it was only right to be like to homage Baba.
And I was super excited that you even mentioned Yakov Levi, because I'm always promoting his stuff, and I think the Shameless, Tasteless DVD is one of the coolest DVD packaging that Troma's ever done. And it's like, I'm just so happy that he's here in Tromaville, and that we could talk about him, because I do get a lot of like oh, I want to talk about Troma's War, Sergeant Kabuki Man, and it's like, well, everybody wants to talk about those, but I appreciate you grabbing one of my favorite filmmakers in the Troma, the whole Troma universe to talk about. I'm super excited, and I think on that, I have a clip I want to play of Lloyd talking to, before we can really go into his movies, Lloyd talking to Yakov on films that inspired him.
How did you get involved in the artwork and the art of film?
Basically, a lot of my friends were filmmakers. Like, they at the time of university, they were all going to film school, and I thought that was the coolest thing that anyone I knew was doing. So I just kind of imitated and jumped along. I watched the movies they were watching so I could talk the talk. And it was the only thing that made sense, because I hate life and I hate the world. But when you make a movie, you create your own world. You create your own reality. You are God, because there is no God. So someone's got to do it.
Are there films, Yakov Levi, that inspire you, that move you?
Okay. Well, John Waters' Pink Flamingos, and you can see Baba Allah is definitely a homage to Divine. He was the first guy. It was the first time I ever saw a non-Hollywood movie, really. Like, it wasn't slick, it was sloppy, it was obscene, and I realized, wow, it's all if you can just have shock value and some sick humor, everything else is forgiven. Another inspiration, and I'm not just saying this, but Troma, because Troma movies are very, like transparent. The film process is very visual in the film. And Lloyd gives a lot of how-to, behind-the-scenes commentaries. And hearing about it, it sounds like, he's a renegade guerrilla filmmaker, and I understand that, it is a struggle. Like, I was afraid, making a movie might be a struggle, it might be a war zone, I don't know if I can do it. But I heard Lloyd doing it, because every movie Lloyd does is a war zone. And it's a miracle when they get finished.
I was like, well into that, I think we should dive into Shameless, Tasteless, and the Films of Yakov Levi. The first film up is Shameless.
Would you kiss these lips? Would you fuck this ass? Would you lick this pussy? Meets Baba Allah, the former Soviet Union's oldest working prostitute. She slept with communist leaders, czars, Cossacks, Mongols. Now she can be yours for only $1 at YakovLevi.com.
Скидка для детей.
All right, Shameless. This is if you're only going to watch two Yakov Levi movies, it's going to be Shameless and Tasteless. And I will say that all of his films are short. Some of them are shorter than the others, but the Shameless is about like 10 minutes long, but it doesn't feel like that. But it's pretty gross. What was this one of the first of Yakov's movies that you've seen?
Yes, Shameless was the first, and definitely the opening shots with the sex bomb miniskirt and the intro song, had me hooked right away.
Yeah. I think we got to describe what Baba Allah looks like for everybody listening. Why don't you do the honors? How would you describe Baba Allah?
Almost is as if Edith, Massey, and Divine had some kind of aborted child that grew up into a woman or something.
That's almost exactly what I was gonna say too. She grew up to be an old babushka lady.
Yeah.
Like that is Baba Allah. Yeah, so Shameless starts out with she's like dancing in this like tight mini skirt that says sex bomb like right on her crotch, and she and we see her son shooting up, and he's mad because he doesn't want Baba Allah to go whoring.
Yeah,
she's
Mom,
like,
please don't go whoring today. Sorry.
and then she's like, come on, I'm only 17. And so she's like out by this dumpster, and she's just like flirting with everybody who's walking past, and like some of Yakov's great lines come across here. I'm an entertainment center, fun for the whole family.
But before those scenes, some of the stuff I really like is the son just like steps on a turd and a loud fart sound goes off.
Yeah.
And then every time Baba is walking, the coconut riding horse sound.
Yeah, it's like clip clop of horse hooves.
Yeah, very like Monty Python,
Yeah, and she's like, her lipstick is very like unevenly put on her face, and she doesn't have any teeth either. So.
Yeah, she says like, come on, I'm 17, I need to get to college.
And so she's flirting with all these people outside, and which is a wonderful montage of just people getting disgusted, and three boys find her, and they dare each other to do certain things for money. The first is they dare, one boy gets dared to give her a kiss for $20 or for $5, and then the next one, for a little bit more money, he's dared to eat her pussy, and when he dares that, like Baba Allah just pulls out a bloody maxi pad and just starts making kissy faces at him. So he goes and does it. And then the last guy, he's paid to go do her in the butt, but he says that he wants $20, and his friends are like, okay, but no condom.
Yeah, I like there's a shot of after the guy that licks the vaginal area, and he's got like cigarettes and fish and like trash in his mouth on a good zoom up. And I think Baba says a good line that my son is part of the Ukrainian workforce.
Do you think Baba Allah is on the front lines defending against the Russians?
She might be.
I mean,
I'm still to this day. I've honestly been interested. Like, where is Baba today? Kind of like where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where is Baba?
But instead of like stealing the Statue of Liberty, Baba Allah has stolen my heart.
Yeah. She's stolen my chickens from my coop.
But yeah, so the dude has anal sex with Baba Allah, and he gets covered in shit, and then they all exchange money, and they're laughing with each other, and they say whores will do anything for money.
Yeah, but yeah, who really is the whore?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's always a trauma movie with a social, some type of social context or saying at the end.
Yeah, and so with this movie, this isn't Baba Allah's first time working with him. He worked with Baba Allah in the Matryoshka Dolls of Doom, which we'll get into that a little later. But Baba Allah was in a mental hospital when they were filming this movie, so he went in and got her released from the mental hospital to act in this film. I have a clip I'm going to play of Yakov talking about getting Baba Allah out of the mental hospital.
And at the time of this making of this movie, she was in a mental hospital, actually, suffering some sort of depression. I went and told the nurses I need her for a movie. And I assure you, nurse, it'll make her feel better to be out and doing something positive. And they needed her daughter's signature. I told them I'm making a movie where she plays a teenager in a park picking up boys. That's what I told them. They thought it was funny. I said she gets banged on the head and she thinks she's 17 and hitting on guys in the park. That's all I told them. So she's actually on leave at this moment. She's on leave for 2 days from a mental house. And I'm sure I made her much more psychologically sound after being in this film. I probably did more than all the psychiatrists combined could do.
And then this is also Shameless was a reaction to another film we'll talk about later, Vanity and Sanity. Yakov just wanted to make something just really trashy, and I say he succeeded.
Yes.
And then we close out the film though with her son, and he's now a prostitute, and he is sucking off the 3 boys, and he's made enough money where Baba Allah can now retire by the sea, and she is in a bikini rolling around in the surf on what looks like kind of a cold day on the Ukrainian beach.
I think that's some of Yakov's best shots is Baba on the beach, and then the sun sucking off everyone, and it kind of reminds me of The Shining with that famous
with the
shot.
bear.
In the bedroom with the bear and everything.
and a little bit of like Three Stooges, how the 3 boys peek their head around the door.
Yeah.
But I like what I really like about that shot is like it's funny and you get the joke, but he holds on everybody's face for like maybe like a half a second longer than I personally would have as a filmmaker, to where they all look deranged and creepy. where it's like, are they gonna murder somebody in this house?
Mama.
But yeah, I love that one. And then Baba just dancing on the beach and squirting suntan lotion all over her face and boobs and everything is so funny.
Yeah, every time I watch Shameless, Tasteless, the DVD, I have that Baba song stuck in my head for probably a few days.
Sexy Baba Allah.
Baba.
Well, then the next film on our list is Tasteless.
Давайте, суки. Сколько стоят ваши шлюхи? Мне срочно нужно потрахаться. Хорошо. Кое-что для тебя есть. Нет, только не ты.
Привет.
Камон, камон. Камон, камон. Секси бабушка. Секси бабушка.
All right, so one of the boys from Tasteless, or from Shameless. He's back in Tasteless, and he's jerking off at the very beginning to playing cards, to porn magazines, to coffee cups with topless ladies on there. So yeah, he's there, and then he sees a number to call for an escort. So he calls, but who should show up but the lovely Baba Allah.
Yeah, I love all that opening stuff. I like how it's really kind of like over dramatic and acted. He's like, ooh, 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 who jizzes like who comes like that?
Yeah. He's definitely giving its go to jerking off to a coffee mug.
When Baba shows up, the fisheye peephole shot, I love it.
Yeah. And he's like, oh shit. So he tries calling back the escort service, but they don't want to take her back. They kind of make him keep her, and then
I almost feel like that actor that played the pimp guy might have really been like a pimp boss almost.
He looks like it, and so the pimp guy has all these semi-attractive young ladies hanging on him. It definitely, in comparison to Baba, they're very attractive. But they're what do they call it? A Ukrainian 7? I don't know. But they're all pretty attractive ladies hanging out on this pimp guy's arm, and so he's like, all right, well, we'll pick her up, but it's gonna be a while. So the boy reluctantly allows Baba Allah to stay and hang out with him in his apartment, and she recognizes him, and he was like, well, I just want you to know that last time that we had sex, that was on a dare.
Yeah, I love the shot too of the stink bug on the toilet cleaner when Baba, I'm cleaning my pussy for you.
Yeah, and Baba Allah's scrubbing her puss with a toilet brush.
Yeah.
And then she goes and beats up the boy with her boobs and shoots milk at him. And this is the only topless Baba Allah moment in the film.
No, yeah.
Or in any of them, really.
Yeah.
And for how sexual a lot of his movies are, there's not a lot of nudity in them, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, and that I think that's why I like Yakov's films and the John Waters influence too, is because their sex or nudity in movies is really comical and over the top.
It's more of a parody of it. It's not really trying to titillate anybody.
Yeah, and that's what I always liked in cinema is the kind of like the sexy box. Is that on Troma now with
all the sexy comedies?
Troma Direct, The Waitress, my favorite of them all.
That's such a good one. I just got a really cool VHS of Waitress, a super early one. But at any rate, but so the boy is just trying to ignore the whole time, and this part actually kind of gets to me. Baba's like, you're hurting my feelings, and it's I'm like, oh man, don't fucking hurt Baba Allah's feelings, because it's still your grandma when you're when you see her. So she asks if he wants to dance with her, and he reluctantly agrees to dance.
And there's fart sounds, of course. That's what I like about Yakov is he puts in the fart sounds where they shouldn't be.
Yeah, there's so many. And then while they're dancing,
the baby falls out.
Yeah, baby falls out and is dangling by umbilical cord, and she's kicking it while dancing.
Mind your own business.
and according to the commentary, Yakov says that his wife kept having to stuff the umbilical cord in Baba Allah's underpants during that.
That's funny.
So he's like, other than Baba's gynecologist, my wife is the only other one who is. So the boy, the boy saves the baby from getting kicked to death, and Baba leaves, and then the boy is stuck with the baby. So he then has to raise the baby, and he grows up. It grows up to be a prostitute.
Yeah, I like Baba is like, keep it, it's yours.
Yeah.
Or no, the pimp says that.
Well, and so there's an alternate ending to the movie, which I actually like a little bit better than the ending that he picked. So it cuts back to Shameless, with him having sex with Baba Allah, and then he's like, but I only had anal sex with her, but maybe I slipped in. It was all wet, so I couldn't tell. And then like it turns out that the baby's actually his from before, which I thought was, and then the rest of the ending is the same. But he didn't. For some reason, he didn't keep it. But I really like that alternate ending in there. And then I guess he tried to get more of the boys from the first one. But most of the cast didn't want to return because they didn't actually want to have to touch Baba Allah, and they threatened to beat the shit out of Yakov. So they didn't show up. But I think what we got was probably a better movie.
Yeah, because a little tidbit here is
Tasteless also had a different script than the final film shows. There were several characters in it, and it was about a double date. 2 guys and 2 girls. One of the girls is young and hot, and the other is her misfit cousin, Baba. During filming, the guys could not bring themselves to do romance scenes with Baba and stormed off the set. They still demanded that I pay them for a day of filming and threatened me with violence. I told them that I forwarded photos of their IDs to the Canadian Embassy in Kyiv, and in case anything bad happened to me, they would be the first suspects.
No, but yeah, so I guess that's where the guys would have showed up, would have been like with this double date.
I can knock off.
Although, man, I wish he did also made the double date movie, because that's pretty funny. Can you picture like a double date like at a restaurant, and then Baba Allah showing up in a fancy restaurant like on this double date?
Yeah, see that's what I love about the genius of him finding Baba, and like it you know, I love the movies for what they were, but like really, like what you just said, like it could have been, you know, a whole like series or something, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think we should move to the next film, the Matryoshka Dolls of Doom. So in this one, 3 girls arrive in a small town in a van, and they arrive at a private beach, and they're like, well, there's no boys, but there's cheap rooms. And they show up to this hotel, and they're like, okay, well, if the owner looks like a killer, we'll leave. And then who is the owner but Baba Allah? And so, and this is the first time that Baba Allah is in Yakov's movies, but we're just kind of going in order on how he arranged them on his DVD, how he intended everyone to watch him. So, but this is the first time that he's ever worked with Baba Allah, and she shows up, and she has 2 teeth in this movie instead of the no teeth is in Shameless, Tasteless.
The production value is much higher.
Yeah, the CGI tooth budget was insane. And she shows up wearing like traditional babushka garb, and but she wasn't supposed to be the original babushka in the movie. The original one broke her arm, and I actually have a clip I'll play right now of Yakov meeting Baba.
And I was so nuts. I would never do this normally. I'm pretty shy. I walked around the downtown street of Simferopol, grabbing girls on the street. Would he like to be in a movie? And the synagogue was in the center of town here again. And another rabbi naively let me use it. And again, a great location. I always use synagogues. There's always one near the center. They've got empty space a lot, and they're not always being used. So I took girls in there, and it was just depressing as hell. Just grabbing people off the street, people who couldn't act, people who also, of course, said, no, what, are you making porno? While doing this, I was kind of grabbing attention because I had crowds of girls I was yelling at and begging, and my translator was speaking. And an old beggar happened to notice this and came over asking me for a few pennies. Meet Baba Allah. I looked at her right away. I said, can you act? She goes, well, I did when I was 18. I dragged her to the synagogue, and now there's no audition reel. I'll tell you why there's no audition reel. She did this laugh. That's all. When I saw her, I said, can you do a crazy evil witch laugh? That was the audition, and I saw her do the laugh. Me and Ani, my translator, we fell off our seats, and she was in. So there's the story of how I met Baba Allah. Street beggar, out of nowhere, comes up to me, and she's in. And blessing. She's what made my career. Also, she lived, sadly enough, in one room with a 90-year-old mom, a daughter and a grandson in a tiny room with bed to bed touching. And next to a chicken factory. The area was full of flies and fly paper. Poor lady, you know. I mean, I hope she used the $150 they gave her wisely. But she was very happy. And she also ate all the food. You know those pierogies the girls are eating? I had to slap Baba Allah's hand so many times. Every time I looked away, Baba Allah was stealing one of those pierogies. If you watch closely, the pile does get smaller at a couple of points. That lady. Also, she couldn't seem to follow rules. I screamed at the top of my lungs and told her she could go to hell and cursed her, and she would just laugh and smile more. She was an angel. She was indifferent to my madness. So in a sense, she was more sane than me.
All right, so the girls are all in this house with Baba, and it's filled with all these Matryoshka dolls. They keep Baba Allah company when she's there. She's lonely, and they're like, okay, she's creepy. And then there's just like this slow zoom into to some of these Matryoshka dolls, and they scream. And they want to go to the beach, but Baba just keeps offering them sweaters and food. She's like, you girls need some good pierogies, and you're just skin and bone. You hear like some of these dolls like threatening to tell on Baba to these girls, and Baba threatens to get the black paint, so she paints over the Matryoshka dolls with black, and the girls, they go to the beach, and they come running back in, and Baba says she's getting some groceries, and the girls hear somebody calling for help, and it's a boy Matryoshka dolls. some male ones, and the big doll, he warns that Baba is a witch, and the smaller of the dolls, they just hit on the girls because they were stuck inside, so they couldn't see what was going on out there the whole time, so they just see three pretty girls that they want to flirt with, but they're all Matryoshka dolls. By the way.
Yeah, I like how the hoariest, sluttiest man one has like doesn't he have like a kind of a pimp gold necklace?
Yeah.
I got a Woody, you know.
So it's funny. So like the girls are kind of into it. Like all the guy dolls want to get it on, and so the girls all start making out and dancing with the dolls, and they actually have sex with the Matryoshka dolls, which I wish it was a little more graphic than it was, just because it would have sent it over the top even funnier. But it's still pretty funny just seeing like, them making out with these Matryoshka dolls.
Yeah, isn't this? It's almost like a original Team America USA.
A little bit, yeah. I guess originally, all the girls were nervous about it, getting too spicy, because they were like, "Oh, is this gonna be a porn?" So the girls decided not to be as spicy with it as he wanted. So it is what it is, and we've all been there as filmmaker.
Yeah. Well, Yakov, he always wants things very spicy.
I could picture that in all of his movies. If you could, like, let's just turn this up a notch if we can.
Yeah.
And so then all of the dolls are naked, and Baba returns, which is funny. So they Yakov paid somebody to paint these dongs on these Matryoshka dolls, and so Baba returns and they make pierogies, and the girls want to leave, but Baba wants them to eat, and I gotta say those pierogies look pretty damn tasty.
Yeah, you're talking about the bread, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When Baba's cooking that, I'm like, damn, I'd eat that too.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
All the outtakes of Baba's laughing in that segment.
Oh my god. It's like 10 minutes of Baba laughing. And it's so good. And it's just like an evil cackle. It's so good. Yeah, so Baba convinces the girls to eat one, and they're like, we'll finish them on the road. But as they're eating, one girl tries to leave, but her head turns into a giant wooden Matryoshka doll face. And it's like, I know, I wish I knew where like those props were of like the Matryoshka doll faces. They're so funny because they're like life size. They're like, oh no. And so they all start to shrink down, and then Baba's like super long cackle, and all the other girls start changing, and they at the end they all turn into dolls, and they're all mad at the male dolls, and they all call it off, and the male dolls are like, doesn't matter, we're all banging the Romanov sisters anyways. Yeah. And they to like the Romanov Matryoshka dolls.
Yeah, I love anything Romanov reference. I love the Romanov reference at the end there.
The Romanov reference was so like the movie feels like it's almost in another world or something. And
well, technically, all that stuff, Yakov said we were in Crimea, which is technically part of the Ukraine then at that time when they filmed it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How much the world has changed since he made that movie.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, Yakov, you gave me a history lesson.
Maybe it was the curse of Baba Allah.
Yeah, all her cackle, like I've been meaning to take all her laughs and like turn them into like text messages or little ringtones and stuff.
So this one is very different than Shameless and Tasteless. I know those two, like both of us are huge John Waters nerds, so like that hits like our John Waters sweet spot. But what did you think of the Matryoshka Dolls of Doom?
I should have ranked. I feel bad. I should have ranked them in order here, but honestly, I would put it in the middle. If I was to rank it right now.
I like the story of this one. I thought it was like a cool. It worked because it's another side of the world I'm not used to seeing every day. So like seeing Baba Allah as the babushka witch turning these girls into Matryoshka dolls, I thought was a really cool idea. And then just throw it with the Yakov like sense of trashiness, like it just worked. I thought it was pretty funny.
Shameless and Tasteless, is Yakov's obviously magnum opus of his trash films, and this one is kind of like has a feel of like a Twilight Zone horror kind of like thing. But yeah, with the same his cast and crew of Baba and stuff, like his James Gunn of people in it.
No, I liked him quite a bit, and the Twilight Zone is definitely, if there was a trashy Ukrainian Twilight Zone TV show, this would have been the pilot. All right, let's move on to the next. So the next, I'm gonna lump them all together. The Penicella series.
Move over, girls, 'cause cock is the new pussy. are so strong. I look great in a bikini. When I go to the beach, everyone stares. It must be my great tan. I'm also an artist. I waxed my pubic hair and made a candle from the wax. Aren't I creative? I've got the Swiss Army knife of penises. Oh, yeah, touch it, touch it. Oh, yeah. Lick it. Ooh, a little to the left. Yeah. Hey, no biting. Was it good for you? It sure was good for me.
So these are pretty funny. There's about 4 of them, and it's about a woman with a gigantic cock and balls looking for love and companionship while flaunting her massive genitalia, and then she eventually meets her true love, vagina.
Yeah. I just love how they're like, oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a late night commercial. What would they call those?
Oh, like an infomercial?
Yeah, it's like, I'm a chick with a dick. It's like how it starts out.
Like to call this 1-900 number. Yeah. And
not intimidated by my size. Are you a man enough to handle the full package?
and I like that it looks like something from like a Gwar costume. Like it's just super over exaggerated.
And like it appears a few times in the other ones, but like in the first one they have the Dinkerbell, the cock fairy.
Oh man, Dinkerbell is such a funny.
Yeah, Yakov is really good with the lingo and the literature and the puns and everything.
And apparently, like, these were made all guerrilla style. No script, just gags, just ideas for gags. But they're just solidly funny, and maybe all 4 of them together is like 15 minutes at the most. But they're just super funny.
No, yeah, for sure.
Well, and real quick, I have a clip I want to play.
Okay.
Of Yakov talking about Lloyd and his influences with Troma, because there is a Troma reference in one of the penisellas.
Oh, I thank Troma in this movie because when she's online looking for a date, I use the Troma logo as a fake ad on the website for dating. So thank you, Troma. I was so happy. It was my first real association with Troma. Little did I know how bad things would get. Yes, it's a big step up down in my career. No, Troma's taking my films. It's a big step in my career. I don't know if it's a step up, but it's a step, and that's what matters. But anyway, here I was proud of that. I've been a fan of Troma since I first turned to look at the B movies. Troma inspired me to make movies. I saw what they could get away with, and it made me say, "Fuck, I can get away with anything too." Then it's true, by being so unpretentious and being so transparent to their filmmaking process, it takes a lot of pressure off a person. I realized, wow, I can make a film full of sloppiness and mistakes and no offense, Lloyd, and just whatever you can come up with, and Lloyd also is really helping you see the inside workings, and seeing him scream made me feel like, wow, I kind of use his directorial method sometimes. So I felt a bit of camaraderie sometimes seeing what Lloyd puts up with, and he's of course on a huge scale compared to me. But he does put up with some of the same crap. So I realized that crap never ends, dudes. The budget might get bigger, but a movie is trying to control the world. You're trying to create an environment that doesn't exist except in your imagination. And you can pour money into it, but there'll always be some problem, some loose cannon in the production. So, and the problems never end. So, I thought Lloyd Kaufman's movies went smoothly until I read his book and watched his documentaries. So I realized, that's just part of the adventure.
And then I think that brings us into our next film, The Ghosts of the Marquis de Sade.
Девчонки, а что бы вы отдали, чтобы привести возлюбленного из периода романтизма?
Маркиз де Сад. Звучит по-французски. Французы самые лучшие любовники. Они изобрели поцелуи.
Хорошо, договорились. Сегодня ночью вызываем дух маркиза де Сада. Мы предлагаем тебе наши тела. Но если бы ты мог научить нас своим любовным секретам. Маркиз де Сад.
Я маркиз де Сад.
Маркиз де Сад был изобретателем садизма.
Маркиз де Сад мертв уже сотни лет. И если он кого-либо насилует, то только лишь на небесах.
Это так романтично.
All right, so this one starts with girls reading romance stories to each other on the couch, and then complaining just about how bad all their boyfriends are, and what it would be like if they brought back a romantic lover from the past. And so supposedly, like these actresses, they were one of them was a real actress, the main one, and then two of them were prostitutes that Yakov hired to be in the movie. But I challenge you to find out which was which, because I could not tell from watching.
Neither could I.
So to bring this romantic lover back from the past, the seance is suggested, and they choose from random someone from this like Romance Through the Ages book. They talk about Casanova or Don Juan, but they settle on the Marquis de Sade because he sounds French.
that made me laugh too, because like right after that happens, the window gets blown open from the wind. Ooh, and I'm like, what did M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening just blow in here from the trees?
Yeah, and like they all like show some thigh to entice him to come on in.
Whoever that actress was that does the ghost blowjob performance deserves an Oscar.
Yes. Well, it's so that kind of leads into like the next scene. So like the girls, they give up, they're like, the ghost isn't gonna show up, and so they all go to bed with their vibrators, and one girl, she passes out in the seance circle, and the ghost removes her nightie and starts choking her, and she gives him a blowjob and is strung up by her wrist and whipped. But it's like all a ghost, and it's also, keep in mind while we're describing this, it's very low budget acting, probably with not a real actor. So it just is so comical.
Yeah, I would say I think the character name is Luba with the vibrator is actually the smartest one in the whole movie, because she's like, screw you guys, I'm going to use the vibrator.
Yeah.
And then also you could tell the vibration of the lips is like Yakov.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, all the girls are up, and the one who was choked, she now has black eyes and bruises, and they discover now that that from their book that they found the Marquis de Sade from is that he discovered sadism. The tortured one leaves, and the next night one of the girls has trouble sleeping, so she convinces her friend to let her sleep in the same bed. And the scared one, she's snoring and her lips are vibrating, so the other girl just sits on her face. Which that's it's just a pretty funny scene. And so they start making whoopee, and a breeze rolls in, and she becomes possessed by the Marquis de Sade. And she bites her breasts and then pushes a broom handle up her butt, and it goes out her mouth.
Yeah, talk about some great effects there.
The good old forced perspective. But it's still so funny because that's like a through line in several Troma movies. Like we even did that in Poultry Guys. We had a mop go up someone's butt and out their mouth. So actually, no, it went out their pee-pee. But then she has the broom going in and out of her butt and mouth, and she's burned by a clothes iron. The ghost leaves her body and she passes out. And it turns out the ghost and the inventor of masochism saves them. And he wants the girls to do what the ghost of the Marquis de Sade did to them as a payment.
Apparently the ghost is a freak because
and so there's not a lot of nudity in this one, which it sounds like they did shoot it, but they were scared from the old Soviet days of getting harassed, and it sounded like Yakov did get harassed a little bit, so he erased the nudity from his recordings, which is too bad because I feel like this one could have benefited some of the gags with that, but it also just kind of shows making movies, not in the United States, where we kind of take all that for granted, and he's like, oh yeah, I didn't want to end up in some dank dungeony prison for shooting a comical sex scene with boobies.
Yeah, it shows that he's a true rebel and an artist because he could have faced some type of crime for it,
Yeah, and listening to his commentaries, it's not the first time that he's ever felt threatened, just kind of with that part of the world and the subject matter that he's filming, which is it's just pretty interesting to see that they can still be just as dirty in the Ukraine as as anywhere else. And then onto that, let's go into the next one, Vanity Insanity.
Yakov Levi presents a love story between a girl and her mirror.
Поцелуй меня в жопу.
Oozing with romance, dripping with sexuality. But love is never simple, especially when you have a lesbian roommate who is lustful and jealous and will stop at nothing to get the pleasure that she desires. It's a love triangle like you've never seen it before.
Лена! Ты что, извращенка какая-то?
Now available on a hot, sexy, sweaty DVD disc.
All right, so this one, there's this dark-haired girl, and I think before I really dive into it, this one feels probably the most straightforward of any Yakov Levi movie.
Yeah, I definitely love the pink credits.
Yeah. Like this one, you could kind of tell he was like, this is going to be my big budget break into the industry movie. So it's about this dark-haired girl. She comes out as a lesbian and she says she loves this person, but it's revealed that she's talking to herself in a mirror. And then we cut to this blonde girl, and she's super hot, and she's also talking to herself and just making out with herself in the mirror.
Yeah, I love at the beginning, I love being me, and I get to be me 24 hours a day.
Yes. The mirror she's talking into, it's very ornate, and she said it was once owned by a movie star from the 20s who ended up killing herself because she went insane from just looking at herself in this mirror the whole time. I'm terrible at movies in general, but I can't remember the name of like the blonde or the dark haired girl. So just my notes are like blonde and dark haired girl.
Lena is the dark haired girl. Because
Okay.
I remember in the first beginning scenes, I'm like, man, she really loves that comb and brush. Because she's imitating Kusha, the blonde.
Well, speaking of loving that brush, comes this scene. So the dark haired girl says she has plans because the blonde is going out for a date, and the dark haired girl starts doing dirty things with the blonde's hairbrush. And so the blonde, she comes home, but she after all that, and she's just transfixed by her reflection in the mirror, and she dances and kisses and rubs on the mirror, and then it's the morning, and the blonde is sleeping next to the mirror, and there's like kissy marks all over the mirror. And so, blonde wakes up late because the dark hair girl's like, hey, I want to go to this lecture at the college with you. And so the blonde just takes forever because she's just changing and looking at herself in the mirror, and an outfit gets thrown over the mirror and the trance is broken, and she's like, okay, she looks fine. And they both go out, they return, have fun, and the dark haired girl, she returns home, and she is looking in the mirror, and she starts licking and kissing and having sex with the mirror.
yeah, that baseline.
Yeah. This was one of those scenes I was like nervous for the actress. I was like, oh god, I hope that mirror doesn't like shatter underneath her or something.
Yeah, what's funny is like, even though I love underground and independent and trash cinema, like things like that still makes me like cringe is probably the wrong word, but I'm still like, ooh, even I want to turn away. Like, ooh, you're making me feel like,
like something really bad's about to happen. Not intentional. It's like we're gonna see like a big shard of glass like go through her hand.
Yeah, and like I feel like my reaction of ew is like a genuine real reaction of like the cinema. And it's like, even though this stuff is so lowbrow, cheap, or whatever, negative word you want to use for it, it's actually making us feel the same as if it were like a big $300 million Jurassic Park 97 Dominion Island or whatever.
Yeah. And it's all because we see the dark-haired girl watching the blonde-haired girl rubbing herself with whipped cream on the mirror, like straddling this mirror. And the dark-haired girl is definitely enjoying herself. And she's watching, and the blonde-haired girl notices that the dark-haired girl has stolen her thong to pleasure herself with. So she yells at the dark-haired girl, and she runs off. And then the blonde-haired girl gets transfixed with the mirror again. And so the dark-haired
special effects too. With
because they're like talking back and forth, like in the mirror. So, and one of the few like really inspired bits of the movie. And so the dark-haired girl grabs a hammer, and she sees like the two blondes talking to each other, and she smashes the mirror. And the blonde says, "Thank you for saving her," but turns out she actually has a face on the back of her head, and it laughs.
Oh yeah, talk about
like
the original Malignant.
Yeah,
back. Yeah,
it's like Yakov Levi's Malignant. And he says he hates this movie the most. And he had just a terrible time filming this movie. And I feel like that kind of comes across while watching the movie, because it's just like the least amount of fun of any of his movies. But
no, I would say the theme is very like depressing and like
the best part is when, that whole like her having sex with the mirror and the girl watching it, and he said that part was came up with like on the spot like that day with like the whipped cream, and he's like, that's everybody's favorite part, and that was the only part that wasn't like scripted. And it's like, well, I feel like he kind of knows his strong suits with that, and the serious lesbian dramedy is probably not the thing. But all right, I think now we're on the last of the Yakov films, Killer Bra.
Dear viewers, what is the greatest threat facing humanity? Who is truly our most evil enemy? Killer sharks, killer lions, killer robots, killer monkeys, killer tomatoes, killer baboons, killer condoms. But the worst killer of all.
I got the most awesome bra!
Yes, the bra is the Osama bin Laden of all undergarments.
It's the killer bra. 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 The most lethal lingerie the world ever saw. It's the killer bra. 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 It's the killer.
Killer bra. It's to die for.
Killer bra. It's the killer bra. It's the killer bra.
It's the killer bra.
Yeah, no, the song that this movie starts out with is kind of like the Killer Tomatoes, but like a surf Killer Tomatoes theme song.
This song is fire.
Yeah. It definitely has like one of the bigger scopes of Yakov's movies, and this is, he also says it's his final film. So the movie starts with this pretty fun Killer Bra song, and it's going through a clothing shop, and it goes on to a girl who's trying on bras, which it hits my quota of having nudity in the first 5 minutes of the movie. And and then her and another girl, they fight over a pink and black polka dot bra, and one of the girls falls down some stairs and dies. And one of my favorite lines in the movie, someone yells, "Move out of the way, I'm a student nurse."
Oh my god, we must be on the same wavelength, because I have that written down as well.
like if someone said they were a doctor or nurse, I probably would not have remembered that at all. So the main girl ends up getting the bra, and she shows it off to her friends, and one friend wants to borrow it because she has a big date, and so a guy shows up, and he is the Wish.com version of Ryan Reynolds. And I'm not gonna say this lightly, but if you go through the entire library of Troma's films, this gentleman overacts more than anybody in any single Troma movie that they have ever put out, from inception to present day. he has more facial expressions than Jim Carrey, and he uses every single one of them every single second the camera is on him.
Maybe that's why it's so memorable to us with all that stuff. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Wherever that lead actor is, yeah, God bless him.
So the girl's friend, she's getting dressed, but the bra, it goes missing, and so the topless friend, she gets tripped by the bra. And so the annoying guy, he goes to try to take the bra off of her, and he cuts his finger. And,
which is a recurring thing.
Yeah. and so they're eating soup, and she's wearing this bra, and it's making her boobies bounce all over the place, and because her boobs are bouncing all over the place, he is making every single facial expression that he can at the time. and so she gets embarrassed and she runs off to the bathroom and she takes off her bra and she's fighting with it and it wraps around her head and it ends up hanging her. And so the boyfriend thinks that she's just being kinky.
Yeah, he goes, "You're so fucking kinky."
Yeah. And then the cops, they rule it a suicide, but the boyfriend blames himself. And one of the friends, she wants to get the bra, but the main girl wants to keep it because she doesn't want to lose her best friend and her best bra too. So
the killer bra, like the voice, I'm sure it's Yakov, but it reminds me so much of the baby from Dead Alive.
Yeah.
Especially the scene when when he's in the park and he's like punching the baby and trying to keep it quiet, and then it falls in the carrot or the stroller, and it's all like
yeah
going down. Yeah, that's what my rant was about.
Yeah, no, it definitely, and the dude's acting kind of reminds me a little bit of Lionel from Dead Alive as well, just like how cartoony he is. So the girl, she goes to bed and hangs the bra on the door handle, and it crawls off and covers the face of her friend and suffocates her. So the main girl takes the bra off of her friend's face and realizes that she died. So she calls the guy back over for help, and she tells him about all the deaths. And he says, "Well, get rid of the bra," but the bra attacks her, and it tightens around her. So he rips off her shirt, and the bra cuts him. So now she's topless for pretty much the rest of the movie. And yeah, he cuts the bra strap with a knife, and the bra flies away. And so when they're filming this, it looks like they just have like the bra on like some fishing line, and they just kind of fling it all around the house. And the bra attacks him, wraps around his face, and flies off, attacks a girl. And the guy grabs a knife and antagonizes the bra, and then he stabs it right through the cup. And then he throws the bra down, and it climbs on his head, and it throws him over a balcony. And then I show up in the movie. And me, Richard, and one of my other friends, Kafaro. So we're friends with Yakov at this point, and he asked us to film. I think he's out of the country or something. So he asked us to film, a body like flying over a balcony and splatting on the ground. But we didn't want to do a splat. We wanted to do something sillier. So we had this really terrible dummy that we threw over a balcony, and we had it get up, and we're like, and then it should get hit by a train like a Looney Tunes cartoon. So we sent him a proof of concept, and that's the guy standing up at the end is actually Richard, who gets hit by the train. And not the guy.
Yeah, that stuff is so hilarious, especially is it the outtakes at the end where it gets thrown too early? They're like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. Like we had to do a few takes, and like we filmed that at a friend's apartment, and we had to keep like running this dummy up like 3 flights of stairs. And we're like, this sucks. Let's get it right this time.
That is too funny and too cute.
But yeah, so that's my lame claim to fame in this movie is that I was like, well, I gotta watch the killer bra kill somebody, and I'm wearing a Brujeria shirt in reference to the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack, so it all kind of fits in somehow, supposedly. But so then the girlfriend, she starts fighting this bra. She bites it. She burns it with an iron. She puts it in a blender, and it chops it all up. And then just tiny little bits of the bra starts flying around. So she grabs a dustbuster and sucks it all up. And then the bra fights her from inside of the vacuum. And so she puts the whole thing in her purse, and she brings it outside and sets it on fire. And then pink smoke goes into the air, and it turns out it was actually a ghost of the woman who fell down the stairs.
Very annoying to kill kill them.
It kind of reminded me of the Sorcerer's Apprentice in Fantasia. It's how many times he killing that mop. But
and then I like at the very end, it kind of just returns to the beginning, like I saw it first. That's my bra kind of thing.
This is Yakov's last movie, and he says that he has no plans to make any more films after this unless somebody pays him to make another movie. So what do you think about that?
I think you and I got to get some money together and figure out how to make this fucker make another movie now.
I'd agree. Yeah, I agree, because I want to see another Yakov movie. His comics are a nice supplement, but his filmmaking voice is too good to not make another movie.
No, maybe we could get it with Refuse Films.
That would be awesome. Well, do you have any final thoughts on the filmmaking career of Yakov Levi?
Final thoughts. That's a great question. I would kind of like what you were reiterating earlier is he shouldn't stop. He's still a young man, but basically, he is the Tromaville John Waters.
Yeah, and
100%. Yeah,
and I know he's probably going to listen to this episode because I'm going to send it to him. So, don't fucking stop making movies, man. We'll find a way for you to make another one. The world needs more, especially now in 2022. We need another dirty movie from the Ukraine.
Yeah. The most gasoline-filled Ukraine film.
Baba Allah versus Putin. We need to see that movie.
yeah, not Toxie. We need Baba versus Putin.
And Baba would win. With she'll show up with her dirty underpants and silver sparkly vibrator, and
and they'll play that annoying ass song, that Baba.
Baba Allah. Well, I think on that I'm gonna play some filmmaking advice from Yakov.
Give us some advice to the young would-be filmmakers, Yakov Levi.
Filmmaking is not rewarding. You will spend money, you will sweat and see nothing but problems and months sometimes in post-production. So don't get into this for anything except the compulsion to make films, because you're not likely. That could be the end. That's all you might get, and I find it to be a thankless job, and I don't know why I even do it, but I feel compelled, and it sort of gives me meaning, and I guess sometimes I feel happy when I have it done. It's a weird thing. I think the things that make you happy the most also piss you off the most. Pain and joy, raising a kid, pain in the ass, but it's what you love the most. In my case, my kids are Baba Allah and Penisella, sadly.
All right, well, on to that. We're into the double feature section. And what is the film that you picked for your double feature?
I picked the classic from Todd
Solondz.
I always butcher his name. But Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Don, let me put it to you straight. We're not here to get you. But you've got to understand, you're in junior high now. This goes in the computer on your record.
Hey, Wiener, what are you looking at?
Nothing. You didn't come in here to wash your hands. Yes, I did.
Hi, Dawn. We were just wondering, are you a lesbian?
Brandon, I can't be your girlfriend. I'm in love with someone else.
Who?
Steve Rogers. He's in high school.
Who's Steve Rogers?
Well, Steve Rogers is only one of the most popular guys in class.
Steve, you will fall in love with me. You will take me away from this place.
Dawn, for you.
I'm thinking of using this one for my first album cover.
Oh, Steve, they're all so beautiful.
You better get ready.
Steve! I have to talk to you.
Well, Steve is horny.
How horny?
He'd go out with anyone as long as it was a girl and willing.
You mean having intercourse?
Duh.
So welcome to the dollhouse. Welcome to
You're her older sister, and Missy loves you.
I love you. You do not. I do not.
You are not leaving this table until you tell your sister that you love her.
Do you think about girls?
What, are you kidding? I want to get into a good school.
Were you playing with my dolls?
Dawn Wiener, isn't that the greatest name in cinematic history? I mean, maybe Baba is her mother, because those are the two greatest names in cinema. You know, probably my favorite quote from that film is when Dawn tells the bully, Brandon Sexton 2 or 3rd, I think is his real name. He's in, I remember him in Empire Records and Boys Don't Cry. And Dawn Wiener, God, that name's so cool. Dawn Wiener says to Brandon, "You think you're so cool, you think you're hot shit, but you're just cold diarrhea." And also I remember Brandon telling Dawn, "Prepare to be raped." But I picked the film because I figured, it was too obvious if I go with John Waters' Pink Flamingos or Harmony Korine Gummo. I picked the movie because it is actually one of my favorite films. That rock song that constantly plays through it, and Dawn clenches her fist almost like it's a Arthur meme. There's just so much about that film that influences me still to this day, and especially the ending haunting scene with Dawn on the bus as she's going off to I think it's camp or middle school, and they're singing that song, and it's just really I can relate to shit like that for sure.
This was like the first Todd Solondz movie I ever saw, and I probably saw it like when I was like in like 6th or 7th grade, like whenever it first came out on video, and like it was such a formative movie in like my early movie going years. I saw this even before I even heard of what Troma was, and before I even got into watching horror movies, really. So it was definitely a formative film for me growing up.
Yeah, I actually, not sound like too much a nerd, but in my film class in college, Todd, I'm butchering the name again,
Solondz.
I should know it because basically
it's a goofy spelling name.
Is he Jewish like Lloyd? But basically he was the director I was given for my my papers I had to do in the class, and so I watched Happiness and Welcome to the Dollhouse, and ever since then I've been hooked and a big fan of his and followed everything he's kind of done. So
well, with mine I went with the 2013 film by David Wendt, Wetlands.
Hast du Hunger? Hygiene wird bei mir klein geschrieben. Je dreckiger die Toilette, desto besser. Da ich mich innerlich sehr gegen das Rasieren wehre, mache ich das immer zu schnell und zu dolle.
Professor Dr. Knox ist mein Name.
Stellen Sie sich immer so vor?
Ich bin Robin, Pfleger. So, kann ich noch irgendjemanden anrufen? Ihre Eltern?
Nein.
Ich habe hier noch eine Beruhigungstablette für Sie.
Hat deine Freundin auch so Wirkreizprobleme?
Die macht sich nicht so viel aus Oralsex.
Ich oft Realität, Lüge und Traum durcheinander werfe. Komm mal näher. Mach die Augen zu. Ich erzähle dir eine Geschichte.
So much like you, I would also, my first impulse was to go with a John Waters movie, and I would have probably picked Desperate Living, but also like you, like it's just too obvious to pick a John Waters movie. And honestly, any of John Waters' early stuff will pair perfectly with Shameless, Tasteless. So but that was easy. So I wanted to kind of scratch my brain and see like what other stuff that I just remember watching that was gross. And this is like a gross German movie about like a girl who just doesn't really care about hygiene, and she's like licking like old cum off of dirty punk rock bathroom toilets, and she ends up in the hospital for shaving her asshole wrong, and but she doesn't, she just keeps scratching it and popping the scabs open, and just keeps getting infected, and then letting the male nurse have his way with her, so he keeps getting her more infected, and it's just disgusting. And it's a fun romantic comedy, so about some of the filthiest people in Germany.
Yeah, you remind me two things I want to talk about. One with the German thing, but you reminded me of why I picked Welcome to the Dollhouse, and it has a great song, Welcome to the Dollhouse,
yeah,
which is sung by the guy who is the lead in Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich. The first Resident Evil, I wish I knew his actor's name. I'll get it to you. But any rate, that song, kind of like the Baba song, is very similar.
Yeah.
And then also the German thing is Tower Rats, as of yesterday, got accepted to a festival in Berlin for Too Drunk to Watch, a punk festival in Berlin.
That's awesome. Well, and you played another festival recently, right? Or just accepted to was it like Indonesia or?
Oh yeah, so he made some Troma Now movies, and he included my Tower Rats in a festival in Indonesia where he played like a lot of his Troma Now films and independent films, but it was kind of like a little Troma thing in Indonesia,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, cool, man. I think on that we should start to wrap this up. Where can people follow you on the social medias?
Oh boy. Well, basically look me up at KW Zombie, ZOMBI, like the Lucio Fulci zombie, and you'll be able to find me.
Awesome. And then for me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lego Larry. You can find the show on Twitter at Talkin Troma. And as always, stay traumatized.